All right, then I would like to call this Coos Bay Public Schools Board of Directors meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. This should be interesting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. Let me get my other computer audio turned off here. I'm tracking the live stream. All right. To get us started off, let's do a roll call. Make sure everybody's here. So Kim. Okay. Dusty.
Here.
Kevin.
Here.
So David.
Here.
Bryce.
Here.
And James.
Here.
Okay, that's all of our board members. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you,
I'll second
Kim.
that.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, James. So all those in favor, let's see, we're going to poll you guys again. So say aye, Kim.
Aye.
Dusty.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So the agenda passes unanimously. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yeah, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
David?
thank you, David. Thank you,
This is Brian.
David.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bryce. All right, all those in favor, Kim.
Aye.
Dusty.
Aye.
I didn't hear you, Dustin.
Aye.
Thank you. Kevin.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Bryce.
Aye.
James.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm aye as well, so that passes unanimously. So we're going to start off this evening with staff presentations from Sunset.
This is such a strange way to present for a school. You know, and strange times too. So this morning I sent some photographs that I wanted to share with you. And I know that Shelby, I believe, put them as part of the board packet. I was struggling with two of the photographs. I just couldn't get them to rotate. So hopefully you guys saw those in your email. And those were just from assemblies that we had so far this year. It was, oh yeah, there they are. Thank you, Shelby. So I have labeled them, you know, we had some wonderful assemblies this school year, and I didn't have photographs of them all, unfortunately. Our person during our yearbook has them all, and I didn't have an opportunity to get them from her because I volunteered, I think, Thursday evening to do this tonight. So I didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to get you some photos. The clam bake photo is kind of my favorite one because that was just before we closed school for the what's now going to be the rest of the school year. And then the one after that, I had taken a photograph of our first day of issuing Chromebooks and wanted to share that with you. We have had, I thought I would focus tonight just on, you know, distance learning and how we've been doing as a school for Sunset, and then give you an opportunity if you wanted to ask me questions about that or about anything else. I had an opportunity to talk to a couple of teachers, and of course I talk to them regularly, but I asked them specifically about, you know, how they're feeling in terms of what they might like to share with you. And so there was a teacher that answered with, and most of the teachers felt this way actually, they were nervous, you know, at first to go to distance learning. And they were mostly nervous about how to ensure that there was going to be adequate contact with students and still have that, you know, bond, that relationship piece with kids. And so what our teachers wanted me to share with you, first of all, is that they would much rather be back in the building, in their classrooms with kids. But the benefits for distance learning so far this year have been about building skills. There were teachers who were at first, like I said, very nervous about Google Meets, for example. We're all navigating the same platform that we're using tonight. And that wasn't something that teachers had been doing to this point. And so to navigate around that, most of the teachers at Sunset were using Google Classroom already. And so that wasn't a huge challenge for many of them, but for some who weren't using it at all, they had a crash course in Google Classroom straight away. And again, benefit for them as teachers is that they feel like this is preparing them for whatever school will look like in the fall. And so there's this feeling now where it started as nervousness in March, this feeling of confidence and the ability to still make those connections with their students. Again, not as great as in person, but they're surprisingly happy with how it's progressing so far. Many of them also come in to the building, practicing social distancing, of course. They wear their masks and we provide plastic gloves. But they come in on those days that we are passing out printed materials. So for example, today and tomorrow we'll be doing that for the next learning cycle, but then also we've done it 2 other times, of course. And many teachers take the time to come in and do that because it gives them an opportunity to see their kids in person. I've also had teachers volunteer to ride the bus, to distribute materials on the bus routes, and folks have had nothing but positives to say about that. We have distributed 181 Chromebooks to Sunset students. We've distributed a lot more than that on the distribution dates, but just Sunset students in particular, 181 of them received Chromebooks. And each learning cycle, we produce 75 packets of printed materials for each grade level, and they're nearly all consumed each time. We have many students who are doing the online component as well as doing the printed materials at home. And then of course we have some who we're struggling with, but every student at Sunset has been contacted. Every student at Sunset has either had, if we weren't able to contact them, they received a home visit and now they have a Chromebook in their hands or the printed materials. Sorry, my dog thinks she should be part of the show too. I don't know if you can hear her whining in the background. My apologies. And then also, a teacher wanted me to publicly thank our IT department for you, the board, to know how valuable and gosh, wonderful they have been. Just providing and keeping up with the technology, but also doing things that they've never done before. For example, giving students access to email through Google Classroom. That's something new that's happening this year with our students at Sunset, and that has enabled teachers to have those better connections and relationships with students that they were struggling with connecting with before. So a huge shout out to IT and thank you from the Sunset staff. They wanted me to make sure that I mentioned that this evening. In addition to that, my teachers also wanted to thank the admin team. So Brian, this is mostly for you and for the meetings that you have had with us. The admin team started out as daily, I think, or at least 4 days a week. And now we're meeting 2 days a week. But one of the things that happened during those meetings was that we determined as an admin team what the curricular choices would be for teachers to use. And I had teachers thanking us for that, which kind of surprised me a little bit. At first, there were some staff that wanted that autonomy to be able to use whatever they wanted to get whatever they felt was important to get out to students. And now they realize, oh my gosh, a quote from one teacher is, "It has been great, but very time consuming, fatiguing, but very positive in the sense that she felt as though at first her sort of creative juices would be squashed by utilizing mandated curriculum for the online learning. And now she's just in so much appreciation because there's no way she would have had time to develop every lesson for every subject herself. So I wanted to highlight those things because I think it's important that we share how all of the positives that have happened, including, you know, bridging or supporting that communication between teachers and administration. That's really been a hugely positive thing so far this year. And then just an update for you. We're looking forward to including third graders at Sunset in the coming year. We are partially staffed right now for third grade. So we're in the middle of the hiring process. We were interviewing today for fifth grade opening. And then on Wednesday, we'll be interviewing for third and fourth grade as well. But in the meanwhile, teachers have started packing up their classrooms. Custodians have been supporting that. Rick has been great providing boxes. So, you know, with all of the challenges that we've been faced with since March 13th, I just wanted to share that good things are still happening in your schools and for sure at Sunset. Do you have any questions? Crickets.
I want to thank you so much for the teachers, for the administration, everyone out there at Sunset, and then also the rest of the schools. As a parent who's home trying to do the distance learning with 3 children who are on IEPs, I know that I'm grateful more and more every day for our teachers. And I realize that I need to up the ante on my teacher appreciation gifts next year for sure. So tell the teachers, everyone, thank you. I know it's, we've got it from our Head Start teachers too, that they really want to be in classroom with the children, and it's nothing takes that place, but the willingness and the adaptability of all of the staff during this, like, it just hit and everybody was, you know, just frantically trying to figure it out. Kudos to all of you guys for making this happen, and we're doing the best we can. And I think that, you know, while we're doing it, we're saving lives by flattening the curve and moving forward. So thank you to all of your staff and for your presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Principal McKnight?
Yeah, this is David. Shelley, I'm kind of curious with the reconfiguration and additional lower grade, what is your plans for the physical space?
In terms of where the third grade classrooms will be located, is that what you mean, David?
Yes, uh-huh.
They're going to be in what's now the fourth grade hall.
Okay.
So with the seventh grade vacating the building, I didn't think it was wise to have third graders way back there, the farthest classrooms away from the office. And so unfortunately, we're causing some grief to maintenance and to the custodians because I insisted on moving my whole school. It was really important to have those third graders closer to the office, closer to the nurse, closer to bathrooms and things like that. And so then we just kind of rotated every grade level. Fourth grade classrooms will now be where the fifth graders were. Fifth graders will be where the sixth graders were, and sixth grade where seventh grade was.
Thanks.
Sure.
I think that might be the case.
Yeah, needed to do it that way.
A little disappointed that we weren't able to do some cards and some other little gifts for Teachers Appreciation Week. But it's great to see that at least the vast majority of teachers that I've heard from are really looking forward to communicating with their students again. They seem a lot happier being able to do that.
Yeah.
So thank you again, and look forward to see kind of how this turns out over the next few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. So moving on, we've got OSCA business, Valerie Eislein. I don't know if she has anything set up for us tonight.
She does not. She elected not to have anything at the moment.
Okay. So then next would be CBEA business, and I know their president, Becky Crane, submitted something for you to read out for us.
Yes. Would you like me to go ahead and read it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so CBEA President Becky Crane wrote, I am proud to report that almost all of my discussions with CBEA members in this time at home have been positive. We realize what a challenging task our admin team had in rolling out distance learning for all and are thankful for the guidance, support, encouragement, and patience. We have submitted our first MOU proposal in regards to the obvious changes in work expectations to Brian and are scheduled to negotiate an agreement this Thursday. I'm looking forward to working together towards continued growth as we navigate this crazy time. Miss you all and hope you're staying safe. Becky Crane, CBEA President.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that would move us on to our district staff presentation, starting with Superintendent Trendle.
Okie doke. We just got off of Teacher Appreciation Week last week, and you know, it was nice. Thank you for participating in the video presentation for them. The ones I heard from were very happy to have that and excited to see that. And it was a nice touch in a very strange situation as far as trying to appreciate people who are really working and doing a great job during this distance learning. You know, like Shelley said, a lot of the teachers and administrators and myself, when we first started this thing, were kind of like, oh my gosh, what are we getting ourselves into here? And how's this going to look? And what are we going to do? And together we put together a pretty good program that I think we should be proud of as a Coos Bay School District. It's not perfect by far. You know, we knew going in that there's a continuum of students and families, and we were going to try to meet the needs of that broad continuum, and it was going to be really challenging, and it has been. We got kids that are doing everything they're being asked to do plus some. We've got some that are just kind of struggling to get through the day-to-day life in their own household, and education really isn't that important to them right now, and that's okay. You know, they're getting their basic needs met, and that's the most important thing. And there is some learning going on, and that was the goal of this whole thing, was that there would be some distance, some continued learning during the last 9 weeks. of school. And so I'm really happy with how our staff has stepped up. Our administrative team has stepped up. Do want to put a shout out to nurses. We're right in the middle of Nurses Week. Last Wednesday was Nurses Day, National Nurse Day. Our school nurses are doing an outstanding job of touching base with those kids that they work with day to day. And so just wanted to give a shout out to our nurses, our school nurses, and our nurses in general in our community who are doing the hard work out there in the medical community. Kindergarten registration is well underway. We have just over 80 packets, I think. Shelby let me know today that we had about 80 registered kindergarten kids at this point, which is a pretty good number for this time of the year. We're usually right around that number, maybe even a little less at this point in the year when it comes to kindergarten registration. They usually flood in late August and September. So kudos to the staff, Shelby and the secretaries, and everybody that has pushed out kindergarten registration. We're getting a good response there. High school schedules, I'm happy to report that they're about 75% done for next year, and they're continuing to work on those, which is good, which is challenging during this time, trying to get not only kids to pass their credits and get their credits towards graduation, but also start planning for next year and building schedules for next year as well. We have packet pickup today and tomorrow for K7. It's their last round of packet pickup. The 1st of June, we're going to start to wind down, and we're going to use that time to help kids catch up, make up, do a little bit of extra supplemental work, and then work to do what we have to do as far as collecting textbooks, collecting Chromebooks, those kinds of things. If we thought issuing Chromebooks was challenging, which it was, collecting them is going to be even more challenging. And we're coming up with a good plan, a good strategy during those last week and a half period of time in June to start collecting those Chromebooks. We issued over 1,000 Chromebooks as a district. So we really need those back to be able to use in the classroom next year. And I say use in the classroom because I'm really hoping that we're opening our doors in the fall with business as usual for school, knowing that there's going to be some things that are going to be different. But either way, we need to get those back, get them cleaned up, get them refurbished. So if we do have to hand them out again next year, we'll be ready. That's the district update. Any questions around that? I just wanted to echo Shelley's sentiments as far as distance learning in the district. It has gone surprisingly well. We do know there's some families and kids out there that are struggling, but for the most part, I couldn't have imagined what distance learning would look like, and then to have to put it together and do it on the fly within a matter of weeks. Our staff has done an amazing job. So they are to be commended for that. And our classified staff has stepped up in a big way to help out in any way they possibly can, whether it's helping communicate with families and kids, or helping to generate those printed packets, helping to hand that stuff out, helping to hand out Chromebooks, helping to hand out locker belongings. We managed to do locker cleanout at Marshfield High School, and it actually worked pretty well. So it was surprising, and we got desk belongings from the elementary and intermediate schools handed back to families. Still have a few items to get back yet, but for the most part, that part went really, really surprisingly well. Questions about the district at this point? June will be here before we know it. I did want to talk a little bit about graduation because that's on everybody's mind. And I think, David, by shaking your head, I think I headed off your question maybe about graduation. We do have a plan in place. It needs some fine tuning as far as the logistics of it all go, but it is going to be a automobile parade in which we're gonna try to break it up into 3 segments so that we don't have 200 cars lined up waiting, and it's going to be a little bit longer than your general graduation ceremony. So we're kind of breaking it up a little bit. Coos Bay PD, Coos Bay Fire, they're on board. They're going to escort our kids and their families in their cars. We're hoping to stage out kind of near Cascade Farm and out near possibly the Three Rivers Casino parking lot. We still have, those are some of the logistics we have to get, but staging them there, parading down Ocean Boulevard into downtown and making a loop up to the high school. Right now, the plan is for good weather. Keep your fingers crossed for that because they'll make a loop. They'll come down through the circle. They'll loop up right in front of the main building. We're going to decorate the front of the main building. We're going to have a stage set up on the lawn in front of the main building. They'll be able to get out of their car, come walk across the stage, receive their diploma, get a nice photograph of them with their diploma, have their name announced over the loudspeaker. KMHS radio will be there broadcasting live as well as live streaming. We're hoping to get some drone footage of the parade. We're going to package all that up along with your speech, Dusty, which you do have to give still, but it'll be pre-recorded. So you only have to give it to your computer. And so we're going to package that all up into a nice a disc for the kids to be able to have when this thing's all over. And I would like to give a shout out to the Waterfall Clinic and Lance Nelson and his crew. They purchased 200 yard signs for every senior in the Coos Bay School District, whether it's Marshfield, Destinations, Resource Link. All the logos are on there. It says a proud member of the class of 2020, and we are proud of you. Congratulations. It's a nice sign that they can put in their yard, or they can put it in a window or in their car, whatever they want to do. But Waterfall Clinic was nice and purchased those. We're going to hand those out with the cap and gowns, which are going to be handed out here during the next week or so. Kids are going to be stopping by to pick up their cap and gown as well. So they'll get a nice yard sign or window sign to go with that. So that's the plan for graduation. Again, there's some fine tuning that needs to be done, but I think we have a good plan in place to celebrate these kids and celebrate their accomplishment.
Brian, this is David. Are you getting any word from this state around any kind of budget issues? I was at a meeting today around some of the budget cuts proposals, things already in. I don't know if you guys are hearing anything yet around the educational budget. We
haven't received our first estimate. That's due out on the 20th of this month. We're planning for that to not look great, but we're also planning, like we've been instructed by ODE and COSA and OSBA, we're planning to budget like we would normally for the second half of the biennium, recognizing that very likely the initial state budget could have some gaps in it, and there's a variety of ways that those gaps could be filled as far as federal aid, state reserves, district reserves. We've done a great job as a district to make sure that we have a good solid carryover budget, and we have a good solid contingency budget. You know, we don't know what the big picture is going to look like quite yet. We're going to prepare that it's not going to be pretty by any means, but we're prepared to take on that challenge and come up with a good solid budget for next year. But I hear you, David. There's you know, the actual state budget, as far as the governor's concerned, you know, she came out and made her statement that 8.5% for each year of the biennium for the state in general, and that equates to 17% for the second year of the biennium. So there could be a substantial gap, but the thing we don't know is there are a lot of different ways that gap could be potentially filled, and we hope that our legislators at the state level, our federal government, does a good job of helping in any way they can, and that we are capable, which we are, of filling some of that gap with our own budget. Any more questions? I'm going to go on to the bond update, which will be real quick, but any general questions about the district? Okay. The bond projects, you should have in your packet the update from Nancy Giggy that also has a budget update. She just put another one out today that was for the month of April going into May. It's very closely mirrored to the one you have in your packet as far as being on budget and on time. We feel very good about that. Eastside School, if you haven't been over there, the operation over there is running well and on schedule, and things are looking good over there. The flooring is starting to go in. The paint on the first floor is done. Second, third floor should be done this week or next week, and then the flooring all goes in, and you know, then we start looking at some of the fine details like the cabinets and things like that. Those are all going in this month and next month. That building is scheduled to be done and ready for fall 2020. So we're excited about that. We're looking forward to the fact, as you read in Nancy's update, the fact that we were able to stay on budget at Eastside allows us to take most of our contingency that we had built into that Eastside budget and move it forward. And so we can move that forward to our next budget in line, which is the Madison projects, because our Marshfield Junior High budget came in with our final number within budget, which is a good thing, because that means we don't have to take any of that contingency money from the Eastside project and sink it into the Marshfield Junior High budget. We could carry it over into the next one down the line, and so that's all good news. And it's really good news that Marshfield Junior High, the bids and the final general cost that came out was within the range that we thought it was going to be, if not just a little bit less. So that allows us to have a good, healthy contingency for that project built into that budget as we move forward. That project's on time. They're doing the site work. If you haven't driven by there, Knife River is in the process of getting that site prepared so that the foundation can be put in later this month, early June. And then late June, July, we're looking at some of those precast concrete walls coming down from Eugene and being tilted up. So that project is on schedule and moving forward. So pretty happy about that too. We've been really lucky with the weather as far as site prep in particular for that site, and getting done a lot of the exterior portions of Eastside. So that's our projects update. Madison's our next project down the line. HGE has been working on just some basic mock-ups of what that's going to look like. It's going to look like a brand new school when it's all said and done. It's going to look really be a nice upgrade to that school and that building, while kind of keeping the bones of that building, which are still in pretty good shape. But putting a new roof, putting a new front, adding some classroom space, a library, and really making that building look like a brand new elementary school. So we're looking forward to that. Questions about the bond?
No, those buildings look great, Brian, and just to hear that we actually might have more money to commit to some of the other projects is fantastic.
Yeah, that was our hope going in. You know, you put those contingencies into a budget, and you hope you don't have to spend them, so you can move them forward in a system like we're doing right now with our bond projects. So that was good news.
Brian, I meant to ask earlier. Can I ask? This is kind of going back just a little bit, but I don't know if I understand. You know, with this learning here at the end of the school year,
Yeah.
what is the thinking about moving into next year? I mean, I don't know if this education, it's certainly not equivalent to what's been in place historically. What are we going to do with students who probably learning beginning of next year is not where we would hope it would be?
You know, we're going to have an assessment of where kids are at the end of this year, and again in the fall when we come right back, figuring out where kids are and trying to meet them, every kid where they're at, and try to make up any gaps that were created by this period of closure. We know there's going to be some. There's going to be some gaps in some kids in their learning, and it's going to be our job to work hard to make those gaps up beginning next fall. But we don't know right now what next year is going to look like necessarily. You know, there's really three things that we have to prepare for, and I mentioned that on the radio show this morning, that we really have three things that we have to kind of prepare for. That's school as normal, with everybody coming to school, which won't be really normal because we're going to have lots of safety precautions in place for kids and staff. You know, that's one scenario. Another scenario is a combination of kids in the building and kids at home, whether that be a morning, afternoon schedule or a every other day type schedule. We don't know what that's going to be, but we need to kind of be preparing for what that might look like. And then we have to be prepared to maybe be doing what we're doing right now and just trying to do a better job of it. I think we, in some way, we were kind of fortunate to have this 9-week period to work on distance learning, because we've been able to see kind of what works and what doesn't, and kind of what is too much and what is not enough, and how we need to meet the needs of all of our kids. And so we certainly hope we're not in this position next fall. We really want to hope that we have kids in the building every day, because we know that's ideal. We know that's the best way to educate our kids. But we have to be prepared. So the bulk of my summer and the summer with the administrative team is going to be preparing for that. Kim, you had a question, I think.
Red. Yeah, I just stuck it in the box. I wasn't sure if we were still on the schools or if we were just moving on to next fall. But I'm really excited, like I said, for Madison School. I think that they definitely deserve some re-gutting there. And I was just wondering where the cafeteria is going to be, and if there's just that wonky staircase there.
Cafeteria is going to stay there. We are adding an elevator to the building, but they're going to redo, kind of try to redo the stairway a little bit to make it a little more user friendly, because they're going to have to kind of close in that area. It's to the west of the cafeteria because that's kind of where the elevator is going to be, and so they're going to rework the staircase over on that side to make it a little bit better and close in that kind of that breezeway that used to be open air and is kind of over the years evolved into kind of a barn area, for lack of a better term, but
that describes it.
yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have a new elevator in there and hoping to really make that really nice. And the plan is right now to add the new library on the side nearest the garden, so that we could kind of tie all that area in, which is used in the summer quite a bit by families. The library, the garden, the outdoor space there. So that's kind of the rough plan right now.
That's great. Thank you.
Yep. The policy AR change that you have in front of you, which is JACBB AR, which is the intra-district transfer procedures. That's commonly known as out of zone. We also have another transfer procedure called the intra-district transfer. That's for people from out of our district coming into our district. Both of those procedures didn't really line up with each other. And so we reworked this one to kind of blend in with the other one as far as how we go about the procedure of transfers. And so this one kind of speaks to all transfers into our district or within our district and kind of the procedure. And we also wanted to make sure we mentioned, because for many years in our district, we have allowed employees and their kids to be in the same building, which just makes sense. You wouldn't want an employee to be working across town, have their child on the other side of town, and just the logistics of that. And so we wanted to make sure we put something in this procedure that brought that to light and made sure that folks were aware that our folks that are working within our district have that option to be transferred to the building they work in. Or in this case, when we're going to have two new campuses, it would be the campus on that side of town that they work on. The other two campuses being the junior high and the high school and Milner Crest, those are centrally located. There's really no need to have an out of zone for a staff member in that situation. We also changed a little bit of the wording on the timeline. Rather than putting it as June 1st, we went with OSBA's language of in a timely manner. We do want to get them done very early in June, so families know, so that they can prepare and know that their transfer request has been approved or denied, so that they can prepare for the next year. And then we wanted to be sure and put some language in there that's in OSBA, a language that wasn't in ours, that talks about kind of setting the caps, which we do already. We do it for IDTs, but including that for out of zones and just for any transfer within our district. The one thing we don't want to do when it comes for transfers in our district is get an imbalance in the sides of town. We don't want to flood and over capacity our brand new building at East Side, or a building at Millicoma, or a building at Madison or Sunset. We want to try to get those those buildings as equal as we can. And that's why we drew the line where we did when we chose to make our boundary. And so we know there's going to be, there's going to be some families that are probably not going to be real happy with us going into next year because, in the past, we've had space to pretty much approve just about every out of zone transfer that came through or interdistrict transfer that came through. That may not be the case with that new building. That new building is not made to hold every child that was at Blossom Gulch. So that's not going to happen, and we know that. So we're communicating with families. We're letting families know. Families are still applying for out of zone transfers, interdistrict transfers. Those are still coming in. They have till, usually it's April 15th, but we extended it because of the circumstances we're in to May 20th. So we will know May 20th who's put in their request. And at that time, we'll sit down. I will sit down with the principals of the buildings. We'll take a look at those, make sure they fall into the criteria. The criteria of, I just want to go to that school because I think it's going to be a good school, is not going to be a solid criteria for somebody to apply. Because who wouldn't want to go to the brand new school? But the reality is we're going to have a boundary line, and somebody's going to be on the other side of the boundary line. So we're prepared for that. That's part of why we want to redo this AR, is to try to make sure we went back and looked at our policy and procedure for transfers and recognized that the two policies and the two types of transfers didn't really line up together. And this puts them in alignment and puts them in making sure that all of our transfers fall into the same procedure so that we're doing things in a fair and equitable way. Questions about it?
All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
So before we move on, Kevin, if you can hear me, could you please mute the microphone on your phone? We're getting some feedback on and off from what's going on your end. So then moving forward, let me see, I've got myself lost here. Business Services, Finance Director Candace McGowan.
Okay, I know that report is a little bit hard to see, but I will, I want to spend a little bit of time on the general fund. That first column there, our ending fund balance as of April 30th was 9.5 million. We currently have about 6.8 million in expenses encumbered, but we are receiving one last final state school fund payment. So I'm tentatively anticipating around a 4.8 ending fund balance to carry into next year. That's a very important piece of building our budget next year. Our special revenue fund, 4.7 million, that is a normal balance for that. Debt service, you can see we have an ending fund balance of 2.9 million. Here in June, we will make our second payment of the year for our general obligation bond, as well as our second payment for our PERS UAL bond. So that's going to take that down significantly for an ending fund balance in June. Capital projects, our last column, we have an ending fund balance of 33.8 million. We're starting to see quite a few of our maturities are starting to come up in our investments. We've been very fortunate to be able to continue to reinvest quite a few of those. So we have earned good interest But we're starting to let those expire so we have the cash flow because our expenses are becoming greater with where we're at in the construction. So that's going to drop significantly by June 30th, our ending fund balance. Any questions on that report? Our next one is our expenditures for general fund only by object. This is where you can see the areas that we have our expenses encumbered for the remainder of the year. Obviously, most of it is salaries and associated benefits. If that holds true at 6.8 million, that's when we will probably see the 4.8. But there could be some expenses that come in along the way. Any questions on those? We do have a resolution for you to approve tonight. It is for the authority to sell our remaining bonds, which is 19.995 million. I had a meeting this morning with Piper Jaffray, who is the underwriter for our bond sale, and they still feel very positive about the market regarding our sale, which is scheduled for June 11th. I did ask them what happens if something goes bad in the market mid-June. They will be up watching the market first thing in the morning, and they will call me if they do not feel like we need to sell them that day. They have done this for a couple of districts where the market just was not right. They cancel the sale and they try again the next day. That's just something we won't know until we get to June 11th, but they feel good about investors buying bonds right now. So they still are very positive that we could see a good premium from the sale. We have May 26th and 27th is our meeting with the S&P Standard & Poor's bond rating company, which is where we received our AA++ rating. So hopefully that goes very well again, and that will help us with our sale as well.
Okay, thank you, Candace. All right, so moving on, we've got some institution changes for the 2020-2021 school year. It is up to the board to designate which grades are in which of our schools, as well as we've got a name change and some other minor housekeeping things. So you can see on your screen there, Blossom Gulch changing its name to Eastside School, as well as registering its new address over on 2nd Avenue. Madison School, also Blossom changing from kindergarten through 3rd grade into a kindergarten through 2nd grade. Madison School changing from a K3 to a K2 school. Sunset changing from a 4th through 7th grade school into a 3rd through 6th grade school. Millicoma making a similar change, 4 through 7, now becoming a 3rd through 6th grade school. And Marshfield Junior High becoming a new school for 7th graders in the current facility where Blossom Gulch is. And that's going to be a temporary move until the new Marshfield Junior High construction is complete where the Harding building was just demolished. So any questions, comments on those? Okay, so moving on to board items. Let's see, Shelby contacted me with the OSBA conferences. I'm assuming that nobody's going to be really hot to go to Bend this summer for the summer conferences. I don't even know if they're going to be held at this point. I know OSBA was planning on holding those conferences, but I haven't heard any news recently as to whether they're going to be allowed to do that or not. It would be probably more beneficial, since I believe most board members have already attended that summer conference, to reserve our budget for the fall conference in Portland. And I know the date for that, I believe, was just released. I don't have it in front of me. And also, there were a couple of us who were going to present. I need to submit the proposal to OSBA as well, to present for our district for what we've been through with the Lighthouse Project and with the OSBA Promise of Oregon training, and to have a session there that people would come and attend and they could come and ask questions. So any questions, comments regarding the OSBA conferences?
The summer one is July 10th through the 12th. Or sorry, that's the summer. The fall one is November 12th through the 15th for the annual conference, November 12th through the 15th.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as item number 2, don't mean to scare you there, but it's coming up on the end of our school year, and this has been my 4th year as board chair, and according to policy, I am not eligible to be board chair next year. So that's going to fall to one of the rest of you. So please keep that in mind. If there's anybody who's particularly fond of that position, it doesn't seem to be very popular, anybody really gunning for that spot, as well as vice chair. Keep that in the back of your head. During our organizational meeting, either in June or July, we will have to select a new chair and vice chair. So this is just an informational item for you today. So moving on to committee updates and scholarship committee, James.
So all of our packets and info have been turned back in to the committee, and to the best of my knowledge, I'm waiting to hear back from the immediate little or small panel of the committee, letting us know how we're going to proceed and when we're going to be distributing these and how we're going to be distributing them. It should be interesting, but I believe we're going to have some sort of a meeting just like this, and just issue them that way. I've talked to Les a little bit about it, and they were supposed to meet either this week to determine that and let me know. So that's about the best update I got for you right now on it.
All right, thank you. So next would be the Professional Services Committee, and that is Kevin.
Hello, can you guys hear me good?
Yes.
Okay. So the Professional Service Evaluation Committee met at Milner Crest Education Center on April 30th. The meeting began at 10:02 a.m. The committee members present was Board Representative Kevin Dubizar, Superintendent Brian Trendle, and Finance Director Candace McGowan. Others present, Secretary of Superintendent and School Board Shelby George. The Professional Service Evaluations Committee reviewed evaluations of the following service providers: our architect, our insurance company, our auditor, our attorney, our transportation, food services, the doctors, and the special education attorney. After reviewing the information that we had to go off of, their recommendation, reviewing the evaluations, the committee is recommending renewing the contracts with all service providers. The evaluation process, the committee plans to review and refine the evaluation questions and process prior to the next professional service evaluations. And we plan on delivery of professional service evaluation results. The committee will provide feedback to the actual services that are provided. And the meeting was adjourned at 10:40 a.m. That's all.
Okay, any questions, comments for Kevin? All right, nice job. I think that's the first big committee thing that you've had to do since your start on our board here. So good job with that.
Thank you very much.
Let's see. Let me move back on my list here. That moves us on to public comments, and I don't believe we had anybody submit comments for this meeting. For all of our virtual board meetings, the public is welcome to submit comments up until I believe it's the Friday before that board meeting, and that makes it easier for us to handle those, so we're not trying to get call-ins and other things that tend to not work well in this type of virtual meeting. So if you do have any comments, you can submit them to our board secretary or call the office. Actually, submit them to the board secretary. If you need help with that, you can call the office and talk to her as well. So that brings us to our action items. We've got a handful of them here. And the first would be Resolution 2020-06, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of the general obligation bonds.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-06, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of general obligation bond.
Thank you, Dusty. Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
Oh, I think Kim beat you to that. All right, so I'm gonna poll everybody for votes on that. So I'll vote aye on that. How about Kim?
Aye.
Dustin?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Bryce?
Aye.
And James?
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously. The next would be to approve the institution changes for the 2020-2021 school year.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the institution changes for the 2020 and 2021 school year.
Thank you, Kim. Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second that.
Thank you, James, I believe that was.
Yep.
All right, so I'll vote aye on that. How about Kim?
Aye.
Dusty?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Bryce?
Aye.
And James? I missed you there, James.
Sorry, my microphone wasn't working. Aye.
Okay, thank you. So that passes unanimously as well. And sorry for the polling. I cannot get everybody's window to come up at the same time just to even get a look at everyone without having to scroll through you individually anyway. So then our final action item would be the professional service recommendations.
I make a motion to approve the professional services recommendations of architect of record, auditor of record, insurer of record, doctor of record, special education attorney of record, and attorney of record.
Okay, thank you, Dusty. Do I hear a second?
This is Bryce. I'll second that.
Thank you, Bryce. Any discussion on those items? All right, so move on to voting. I would vote aye. Kim?
Aye.
Dustin?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Bryce?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So that passes unanimously as well. So I'd like to thank you again, everybody. I know these meetings are getting a little bit longer. Of course, they're kind of matching. They're a little short for our regular board meetings. I guess people don't want to chat as much when we're all talking over each other on accident. But that does bring us to the end of our agenda. So I'm going to call us adjourned. Thank you very much.